Okay, it's recording.
Okay.
Yeah. Yay. Hello, Devina. Hi, DJ.
Sure.
Oh my God, where are you right now? How come it's night over here and it's daytime over there? What country are you in
That's
right now?
how, that's how the world works.
You're in New York, right, DJ?
I'm in New York. You're in Singapore. I'm very excited to talk to you
Okay,
after
for
a time.
as an introduction from my side, DJ aka Devina Jesrani is me and Devina Jesrani, we studied together back in CEPT University, and that was when 2004 to 2010, I think, right? 2004 to 2010.
Forever. Yes.
Yeah, 2004 onwards, actually, just 2004 onwards. And then you finished your thesis earlier than me, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you finished your thesis earlier than me. I took about 4 years to do my thesis. No, actually, just 2 years. And then I went on to do something else. You went on to do something else. For a long time, we were totally out of touch. Although we still kept in touch once in 6, 7 months. I don't know, say
Yeah.
hi, hello, and stuff.
Life took over.
Life took over. Yeah, life is still ruling,
Taking over.
still taking over. But but yeah, welcome to the first episode of first podcast of what is this? The design choice. Yeah, the design choice.
You're still getting the hang of it yourself, huh?
Every day I walk, I'm going to the office and I'm thinking, I suddenly get these new names to rename the podcast. Kabhi, just yesterday I got, what's your design? How about what's your design? But then, but then, your mind, like my mind immediately goes on, okay, how is it going to look? What's the logo going to be? How's the typeface and all that stuff? So I said, fuck all this. I'm just going to keep what came to my mind first, what clicked first, and
Are you
then
going to beep this conversation?
am I gonna what?
Beep the conversation. Beep the
No,
podcast.
no. Why will I? Why will I? No, it's gonna remain the same. Anyways, but yeah. So DJ is a really good friend of mine, and she's done some really exciting and fabulous stuff in the field of design, mostly, right, DJ?
Yes, now it sort of creeped into the realm of business a little bit, but everything is a business.
Okay, so um, what? Let's talk about your journey from the beginning, from CEP University. We not necessarily to go into details, but whatever the highlights and uh, what were the turning points, any subjects or any one piece of art that you did, one piece of sketch that changed your life and or changed the way you thought about design or your projects and stuff.
Okay, so let's see. Okay, so I sort of chose interior design by interior design happened by accident as most things do, but I did choose you know spatial design by a process of elimination. And the way things we didn't have as much exposure back then about all of the different things that we could do with our lives, and I was like, okay, engineering's not for me. you know Physics, I sucked at physics. I was just like, I can't do 4 more years of this. Medicine was not my thing either. I knew I got a little queasy when I saw blood, so medicine was ruled out. Architecture seemed like a pretty decent choice.
But
I
you
can
you
draw,
you
and
you studied in Uti, am I right?
I said I said in Coorg
Oh, cool. Yeah, sorry, cool.
for a couple of years.
Right. And your favorite subject there was physics, as you said right now.
It, yeah, my least favorite subject.
Your least favorite.
Though I really did start liking biology thanks to my teacher there.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, we were able to in Coorg we were able to do a lot of extracurricular and that involved a lot of like set design and stage design and um, yeah, and all of like a lot of art competitions. And that really, made me interested in spatial design. I was like, yeah, well, I enjoy doing this. I could do this. This sounds like a good deal.
So you already had
Uh,
some sort of a what do you call exposure towards design from your school
no,
itself.
I couldn't really say that.
Okay, okay, okay.
Look,
But
in hindsight is 2020. I wouldn't really. It's really I had exposure to art in a very very literal sense. Drawing and painting,
oh, okay.
and maybe creating some three-dimensional objects.
All right.
Um, but it did seem to excite me a lot more than any other profession that at least we were aware of at that point in time. So
Okay.
but I still, so I went, I'm from Oman,
Oh
as you
yes.
know,
Yeah, yeah.
and um, I really wanted to get in touch with that country as well. So after I got done with CEPT, I actually went back. No, that was actually before CEPT. Sorry, erase that. Before CEPT, I actually tried a stint at the Sultan Qaboos University in Oman,
Oh,
and
okay.
the way things are structured there, it's called architectural engineering, and you have to do a term of just basic engineering courses.
Wow,
And
that would have been awesome, no?
well, it was sort of awesome, not sort of not awesome. It's a very very it's culturally extremely different. So I did feel a little bit of a culture shock, which is what led me to CEPT in India. Everybody, like, whenever you would ask somebody where should one go to study architecture in India, it's usually either JJ or CEPT. Those are the
Yeah,
two names,
yeah. That time it was
or
JJ and Sep. Yeah,
obviously, these are the few names that really come up.
true.
I wasn't very keen on studying in Bombay because I knew life. It's a bit of a struggle there. Like, you would have to. I would see when I was there taking coaching for CEPT. I would see kids with their architectural models in the Bombay local,
Oh, okay.
and that was quite a scary prospect. But
Okay.
I did give the entrance exams for all these schools, and CEPT, of course, with its like sprawling campus, seemed to be an immediate draw.
Yeah.
It's it's in this beautiful open space. There's a big open ground, and it really feels much better than a college in a denser city.
Yeah.
And thankfully, I got through the interior design entrance exam.
Did you
You
give all
know,
the? Did you give architecture,
I
SID,
did.
and
I No, I
SBST?
did not. I did not give SBST. I was not. I don't. I wasn't keen on SBST. I gave architecture and SID.
Oh, all right. So, just to so CEPT actually stands for Center for Environmental Planning and Technology, and
Right.
SID is School of Interior Design, SA School of Architecture, and SBST is School of Building Science and Technology. So,
Did not.
um, yeah, so we both studied in SID, just to tell everyone. Continue.
And SID really was. I mean, it gave us. I think I speak for a lot of us. It really was our first foray into design, as not just as a profession but as a mindset.
As a mindset,
What
yeah.
it means, what it means to be a designer, what it means to observe just every detail of what's
Everything.
going on around you. And interior design per se makes you exceptionally good at that, because when you draw, you're drawing every little crevice, right? You're drawing every corner, every
At least you try
corner.
to. At least you try to.
At
You,
least you try to. When we would
your eye
sketch,
definitely sees it, but whether it translates into a drawing and on the paper, who knows? But yeah, at least you definitely observe these things.
Yeah, well, if you're more of an abstract person, then that's how it's going to translate on paper, probably.
Yeah.
But at least, yes, the eye sees it. For the first time, I think I started looking at what's around me. Really, really noticing what's going on,
Okay.
which was pretty amazing. It was like, wow, I this is the world around me,
Wow.
which I don't think would have happened in any other stream or any other major.
So you got into School of Interior Design, but did you also get into architecture? You also give architecture, right?
No, yes,
Okay,
I
you did.
mean, yes, I did give it. I didn't get in, and I think that's probably for the better because I think the path I am on now is thanks to interior design, and I would not be caught doing anything else. I love what I do.
All right. Okay. So let's talk about some of your stuff or what you learned in interior design school. Like from your first, I think first year is like a foundation course, isn't it? You're not really pushed into interior design.
Yeah,
Uh,
but you are made aware of three elements that really make up everything around us: the dot, line, plane.
yeah, dot line print. True, 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 true.
Yeah, which is really the fundamental of of shape and form and
Yeah,
every spatial element around us. And it's really even now when I go to the Guggenheim or the Whitney, when I look at paintings, they're all translations of these forms, right? They are a play on the dot line and the plane.
yeah,
Um,
and these fundamentals are followed in all art forms actually: sculpture, photography, art, painting, architecture, in everything. Yeah, these fundamentals.
yeah,
And then I remember first year we had or was it second year? Second year we had photography. We had these workshops. Remember weaving workshop and cane and bamboo and cane workshop, metal workshop.
yeah. I think weaving was my favorite. The
We
weaving workshop really, really, it gave me an appreciation for making,
yeah.
and it gave me an appreciation for the kind of pre-work that goes into the
Oh
manufacture of a textile. And it really drove in this idea of contrast and color. When what was her name? Elsie? What was that teacher's name?
wow, I don't remember. Well, old lady, yeah, old lady, and
Yeah,
she was very friendly.
yeah, she was really sweet.
Can't remember.
But it really made so much sense when she showed us a sample on a white warp, and when she showed us colors on a black warp, and
Ah,
how black just absorbed color and white enhanced color. It was really amazing to see
oh
the
yeah,
contrast.
yeah, and we also did screen printing. I think screen
Yeah,
printing
we
was
did
also.
screen printing. We did block printing, not really screen printing. We didn't do
Oh yeah,
screen printing.
block printing. And then we did what do you call it? Etching. You know, etching
Yeah, we
on
etched.
the
Yeah, they know we had a linoleum block. We
linoleum
made a
block. Yeah.
linoleum block.
Damn, we did so many things, man, in interior design.
Yeah, we did.
So after out of okay, so first year was foundation. Second year was um, an office space or can't remember. I can't remember what project did you work on. What was the design studio in the second year?
Residence. Then there was residence, and then there was commercial, right?
No, residence comes in the third year. First semester residence. Second semester is commercial. That's how it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Right. Second year. Second year was probably my worst year. Do we have to talk about it? Edit this out.
Okay. But okay, so SID, you were there for 6 years, 5 years, 5 years.
Yeah.
Out of all the design studios, I think there were 4 design studios, right? Four or oh no, 2 into 4, 8 design studios.
Yeah.
Which have been your favorite subjects, favorite
Okay.
projects?
My favorite projects, design studio projects, I have to say, I think the residential project was sort of special in that I don't think, um, not in terms of what I did, but just in terms of what we studied. We studied the Udwara bungalows.
Yeah.
So the whole process of going to Udwara and measure drawing and learning about the community and the culture there was kind of cool. Um, Commercial, I think, could have been better than it was. We did. What did we do? We did
I was not
something.
there. I was not there in your studio that time. Commercial.
It was a. Did we take an old station?
Oh yes,
Jam.
Jamnagar
Yeah,
railway
Jamnagar.
station.
And we did a textile store.
Yeah, I think we were given a choice of either a music store or a textile store and something else. I remember I did the music store where you
Yeah,
had to
yeah,
sell
yeah,
CDs. Planet M,
yeah.
actually. I think Planet M
Yeah.
brought it in here. So, okay, so that one was your favorite one?
No, it wasn't.
Okay.
Edit this out again.
Oh, Residence May, we went to Udaipur, didn't we?
That was okay. Probably that was the other batch.
Oh, that was the other
We
batch.
had choices. We had choices. A few of us went to Udwara and a few of us went elsewhere.
What about that residence project? What about your design that you liked?
So if you really ask me my favorite project, it was my final year. Definitely. When I took the Royal Opera House in Muscat, and I did a museum store for the
Yeah, I
opera
remember
house.
that project was very intricately done. Your models
Mm.
were very beautiful.
Yeah,
But
thank you. Yeah, the ceiling. I think that my ceiling was probably the best thing I did at SID.
I,
The geometric ceiling that
oh
I
yeah,
did.
do you have any image of that right now online?
It's somewhere. Sure. Give me a
Yeah, it'll
second.
be great if we can have a look at.
Of
Or if you
course.
have your SID project, the one that you like, uh, you can guide us through it if you want to.
Oh, it's on my old computer. You know what we can do? I can send you those images, and when you edit it, you can just put those images in. Can you do that? Or too much work?
Yeah, that'll be too much work. I was thinking if you just have any image of that, you can just show it to us.
It's in the old computer. मुझे
Oh, it's in the
निकालना
old
I
computer.
should have been prepared.
All
Yeah.
right, no worries, no worries. But
It's
what?
it
Okay,
had archived.
but we can talk about it, right? What was it that you liked in that?
We can just give me a second.
Sure, sure.
I'm trying to see if I had because somebody had pinned it, which is kind of cool.
कढ़ाई पनीर का क्यों पिन है?
I don't even know what my I
Your
don't even.
so your current website is all about your new
It's
projects.
mostly art center. Yeah, it's mostly art center, and it's the work I did in Muscat, interior design work that I did in Muscat.
All right, all right, all right.
Okay, you know what? Never mind. Yeah, we can still
It's all
talk
right. It's all
about
right.
it.
I can either just send me the images. Maybe if I have time, I'll edit it and
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I'll see if I
yeah.
can do
Oh,
this.
oh.
But
Huh. So the cool thing about that was I don't know, the whole concept, it just came together really beautifully. You know, I think I was able to like take bring a modern interpretation to Islamic geometry, because Islamic geometry has been used as basis for design for forever and ever and ever in so many different ways. But I think I was really able to like use a form very effectively, and you know
What was the inspiration for the geometry that you took? That
what the inspiration for the geometry. Okay, you know what? Hold on, I know where this project is.
Behance.
It lives in this place.
There
Here
it
it is.
is. Yeah,
There you go.
awesome.
Okay.
Wow.
So these are my drawings.
Wow. So this the build form is
That was a picture of a model. This was a conceptual little model that I did.
that was the conceptual model, the middle
Yeah.
one. Okay. Okay. What was your thought
So
behind
the
that?
idea was really bringing a third dimension to Islam. Usually, when you talk about Islamic geometry, you see it in a two-dimensional way, right? You see it on the floor or on the ceiling. Um, of course, you
Yeah.
see you see a three-dimensionality in Islamic architecture too.
Yeah.
But as an interior, usually it ends up becoming a pattern. And I
Ah.
wanted to
Okay.
see how I could still, if I could maintain the like give it a three dimensionality.
Right.
And the space itself afforded me that, because it was a square, it wasn't a rectangle. It had the same dimensions in either axis. So it was almost calling for this solution in a way.
Okay. The so that's the plan and that's the elevation. So in the
Yeah.
plan, the golden lines that you see there are those the flooring? Is that the flooring
The
pattern?
flooring part, yeah, because then obviously it just became really easy to translate that into a flooring pattern.
Ah.
But
Right. Right.
because
Okay.
then the flooring and the ceiling would talk to each other. So
Would
the
have a
ceiling
dialogue.
was this. I wish I had better pictures of the ceiling, but the ceiling was this sort of
Okay.
you know geometric tessellation, if you may.
Ah. Okay. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, and then these guys became display elements where you could house all your artwork, your sculptures or paintings
Wow.
in these. Yeah, on the upper level it was just like these suspended
Right.
displays. On the
Right.
lower levels it was actually these elements, these conical elements that
Okay.
would become the backdrop for the image or
And
the object.
what was the primary material that you used inside?
The primary material, I was thinking of, it would definitely be, it would have a plaster finish for sure, because that's a very versatile
But then,
finish.
yeah, but then these columns that are coming, they're folding down and touching the floor. What are they? Are
Yeah,
they opaque or is it mirrored or are there mirrors on it or what?
there. Yes, I was thinking that some of these could be mirrored, so
Some
that
of
you
the
could you
faces.
could see the object, you could see the you could see all the sides of the object when it was displayed.
Okay.
So yeah, and it would definitely, since it's in Oman, it's the Royal Opera House. It would definitely have really opulent finishes. There would definitely be some gold leaf in there, some mother of pearl there, a lot of like solid wood. All of these pedestals that you see, and the risers of the staircases would be solid wood.
Wow.
So it
Um,
would definitely be a really opulent space to be in.
So the initial idea, the initial model that you made, the schematic model, uh,
Mm-hmm.
what came to your mind to get those to use strings, and why to those particular points? That sort of a pattern must have been inspired by something, or you just winged it. You just went for it and
No,
tried to.
no, I didn't wing it. I looked at, so of course, like the octagon.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, this is a hexagon. I wanted to correct myself before I made some errors. Yeah, the hexagon has been, you know, an element used in Islamic geometry for the longest time. And I'm trying to recall what the significance was, because there definitely was one.
Okay. Yeah, but I get it. So hexagon
Yeah,
geometry
yeah,
was very prevalent
hexagonal
in
was
Islamic
it's very
geometry.
prevalent
So
in Islamic architecture.
and then you just were in the zone, and then you just started playing with
Yeah, and I
these.
started playing. I think this was one of the later, like this was like iteration number 3 or 4 of my conceptual models. I made other ones to see what happened
Okay.
spatially
Okay.
when I gave it a third dimension to geometry.
Okay. It's a very interesting
And
project.
this really struck a chord with me. I was like, yeah, this can become a very impressive spatial intervention to do. And
Yeah,
then
man.
I started to work with folding paper
Mm.
and seeing what kind of form would get me closest to this abstract conceptual model that I have,
Yeah.
which is how this conical you know form came about.
Okay. Wow, man. I really love this project. I wish I was there to
Thanks.
see it, but uh, you had made a huge ass model. Do you have photographs of that model?
I probably do somewhere. Unfortunately, it's in
Okay.
my old Mac,
Okay,
so
no
I'd
worries.
have to dig them up.
No worries.
Yeah.
But what are the one or two or three uh, things that you are very proud of from this particular project? I mean, in terms of decision making, that you're very proud of, and you still um, in your current projects or your future projects, you still get inspired by this one,
Um,
or do you? I don't know.
I wouldn't say do. I've sort of, so for the longest time, geometry seemed like I was fascinated by it. I was completely like obsessed with geometry, and
Geometry.
there would always be an element of geometry in a lot of work I did at early work that I did at Art Center too. Like the
Okay.
little objects that we did, lamps for 3D printing, and the first branding project that I did had this element had geometry in it.
Yeah.
So I would say that's probably how this project has continued to live with me.
Oh, okay.
And then I slowly started to break away from it. Like once you learn the rules, then you start to
Yeah.
explore ways to break them.
I think this
But
probably is one of those projects where even now, after what 10, 12 years, you look back at it and you still feel pretty good about it, isn't it?
yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
This is definitely one of those
There probably
projects.
something still to learn something from this and get inspired by.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, awesome. So, and then after SID,
Oh, and the ceiling was framed and mounted at CEPT.
oh yeah, I remember that.
It's so
Wow, yeah,
clear.
yeah, yeah, I remember that. And we were also jealous of your, your
Please, I was jealous of your walls. Your beautiful
my
walls.
walls is okay, man. Once a year, but yours is like a permanent piece.
I'm sure the walls have got you where you are.
I don't know, but whatever it is, it's the journey, right? Anything uh, that you do has to play a part of what you are today. So I don't know. But anyways, tell me more. Tell me more. So after SID, wait, you finished your thesis first.
But yeah,
Your thesis was on what again?
my thesis was on boarding schools. So I am a product of boarding schools, and that is what really triggered my interest in them because they are like these very synthetic spaces that are they are specifically designed for a purpose to educate. But
Okay.
I know from just other people's experience, I knew that every boarding school is very different, and that's what led me to wonder if what made one boarding school different from another, and how their philosophies manifested into space. Like, did the school look different and feel different because its philosophy was different? That's basically what I wanted to investigate.
When you said synthetic space, what do you mean by synthetic space? Elaborate.
Uh, it's it's an enclosed environment where you have these. It's almost like, I don't want to draw parallels between negative places, but it is an institution, right? It is like an
Yeah.
academy or a jail or where people are inmates in a way. They are expected to behave in a certain way. There is there's a rigor and a curriculum and a way of being
True.
in these places.
So okay.
That is what I wanted to. I wanted to know what roles the space played in this desire to shape a human being. There's almost this goal of being able to shape a life. That's probably what most boarding school principals will say if you ask them how a boarding school would differ from a regular day school. That they have more control over shaping
The
somebody's
shaping
life.
someone's life. Oh, okay. So in your thesis, you were you did you do any measure drawing for this? You
I did do
case
measure
studies.
drawings. Yeah, I did. I measured through uh, parts of Lawrence Sanawar in Himachal. I
Okay.
measured through a lot of Rishi Valley in
Oh,
Andhra,
all right.
and I was lucky enough to get drawings for the United World College in Pune, the Mahindra UWC.
Three case studies.
Yeah, north, south, and west.
Wow, you put a lot of effort in your
Yeah, it was a really cool
thesis.
system. I enjoyed working on it too. And Rajiv Patwala was a great guy, so I got really lucky that way.
Rajiv Kapalia.
Yeah, so that thesis really, I think that's really how I got interested in design research. It's a huge part of what I do. So that was probably my first foray into like ethnographic research, like real rigorous research.
Okay, okay.
So I would definitely, like, looking back, I would definitely write my thesis very differently because it was written in this long-winded British way that we tend to write in. Um, but I think the subject is still, I think I did some really solid work, and the subject is still very relevant. I would still undertake the study. I think it was a worthy study to do.
What's the
And
name
it
of
was
your?
also,
What's the title of your thesis again?
oh God, it's called The Role of Space in Secondary Educational Environment. It's also a long-winded title.
Well, all research theses are. I mean, it's not like a. All research theses are such long,
Yeah.
but wow. So you must have learned quite a bit about secondary schools in India and how they play a
I
role in
did,
a
yes.
child's
Yeah.
development, and I think that's what triggered your design researcher in you. What you're doing right
That's
now.
exactly true. Yes. That is what triggered design research and or built or that's how I discovered a passion for research.
So you finished your thesis and then you went to.
I went to Muscat and I worked as an interior designer for a couple of years, trying to
Right.
find my footing, young designer in the world.
How was it working in Muscat?
It had its pros and cons. You
Okay.
know, I was able to do a lot of lounges
You
because,
designed a lot of lounges.
yeah, that was a thing apparently. And it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed doing lounges. This was like, and I have one of them on my website.
Okay. Let's see
You
it.
know, it's so
Avant-garde.
this, yeah, we did this.
Ah.
I was a part of this. The office was called Tamaya's Interiors and Architecture.
Okay.
A small setup.
Right.
Uh,
Wow, look at those chairs.
yeah,
Long
pretty cool,
chairs.
huh?
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, they are actually the Fendi chairs. They're the Fendi cast. We found a perfect fit for our project. So it was pretty
Oh, so
cool.
that chair was already designed by Fendi.
Yeah, the chair was
Okay,
designed.
okay, okay.
But we did this seating.
Right.
We did we did this like big seating in the center that looked like a block of ice. So obviously the theme was very clearly ice,
Okay. Okay.
or like a really like you want we wanted people to feel like they are in this. Muscat is a hot place.
Oh, so no
We
wonder.
wanted people to have like a cool, almost cold respite from the heat.
Okay, okay.
And this almost like this electric environment that they enter.
Nice. So you were responsible to design the interiors of this place.
Yeah, I worked closely with my boss to bring this to life.
Okay.
And we executed it. I should have pictures of the real deal. It came out quite nice. It was a good installation as well.
Okay. So you designed lounges in Muscat, and then after that
Mhm.
you. So this you
And
did for
after
2 years. 2 years, right?
this,
You worked in
two,
Muscat for
two,
2 years.
2.5 years
Okay.
around. Um, yeah, and that's when I started to feel like I wanted a bigger seat at the table, and at least at that point in time, I felt like I needed to know materials and making and technology better.
Okay.
Because
Yeah.
that's the only way you can. If you know, it's like I said earlier, right? If you know the rules, you can break them and bend them. You need to know what wood can do. At least that was my intent back then. I was like, I want to know more about materials. I want to know more about making, and I want to know more about business because if you don't have, if you're not meeting a client's needs, you don't have a project to work on, which I think
True.
we were largely missing
Yeah,
from set.
they never really.
We don't address that at all, which is so important. It's you have to understand how you are creating value because if that doesn't exist, then you don't have a job to do.
Right. 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 Right.
And that is why I felt the need to go do a master's.
Okay.
And I started looking at programs. And when I came across the Art Center, the grad ID, the Graduate Industrial Design program, I was mind blown. I was like, this is what I want to do. This is exactly what I'm talking about. It gave the description was like almost voicing my thoughts. The program description.
So this
So I
this
was
was in the year of 2012 or
this
11?
was 13
Oh, okay, 13.
and 14. Yeah, I mean because I came here, I came to the US in 14.
Oh, you came in the 14. All right.
14.
So you did graduation. You chose industrial design and art center.
Mm-hmm.
Masters in industrial design.
Yeah, I applied for a Fulbright scholarship. I was lucky enough to get it. I was lucky enough that they let me come to Art Center.
Okay.
So
Okay.
there was a lot of like insane waiting and thinking about what if and plan B and it was a very fraught time, but it worked out.
So you applied and they immediately accepted it, or you had to go through a test, or
No, there was a yeah. I had to first get through the full. I had to
the
be
Fulbright
selected for
scholarship?
the
Yeah,
Fulbright scholarship,
yeah.
and then we had to negotiate a list of schools that they would apply to on my behalf.
Okay, okay.
And the worst thing is they don't tell you if you are accepted to a particular school or not. They give you an offer letter at the end of the down the line.
Oh,
They say
Fulbright.
congratulations. This
Full.
is where we have chosen for you to go. Should you accept?
Wow. So they
This
don't. So
should you accept?
even though if you were chosen for some other colleges, they would not tell you that, okay,
You
these are
could
the
be
options.
you could be accepted in multiple schools,
Okay,
but they look at finances and they look at other factors that determine
okay,
because they have a bunch of students to take care of from each country. So
okay.
usually that's my understanding. That's how it works. They look at a number of factors and then they determine where. And of course there's the exchange portion of it. They want just to send more people, more. They want to enhance the diversity in America. So they look at that as well.
All right. So you finally went to Art Center in 2014, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then how was it? How was Art Center?
It was life changing. It was nothing short
Wow.
of life changing.
Art Center is the best design school in the world, isn't it? According
Well,
to
I would love to say that. I don't. Yeah, I know it. I mean, at least in America, all the people of the West Coast say that Art Center is the best school in America. All the people of the East Coast say RISD is the best school in America. When it comes to the industrial design program, they have two very, very different philosophies, and I
okay,
definitely subscribe to the Art Center philosophy.
okay. What is the philosophy?
So RISD is at least from what I understand, it's a very dreamy school. It's very conceptual. You This is what our ex director told me when I was interviewing for Art Center, and I thought that was perfect. He said at RISD you probably enter with a dream, and that dream becomes your. They teach you how to make that dream your thesis, and you leave probably making that dream a reality,
In
which is
RISD.
amazing. Yeah. But at Art Center we teach you to ask the right questions. We teach you to ask if the dream that you're dreaming is the right dream or not. And I was
Okay,
completely mind blown when I heard that.
okay. Who said this again?
This was Wook Kim. He was our director until a year or so ago.
Okay, okay. Wow,
Yeah,
interesting.
and that just like totally sold me. I was already sold, but then that just completely sold me to Art Center. I was like, I want to. I was like a little fangirl. Then I was like, I have to go. And I guess that happens when you are at that stage in life. You become sort of obsessed with a certain
Yeah.
culture and institution.
So MA in industrial design or MFA?
MS. It's
M
it's an MS.
MS
Yeah.
in
It's
industrial design, and then that was for
it's
2 years, right?
kind of cool.
That was for two years.
Sorry.
That was for 2 years.
Yeah, that was for 2 years, and some of us were fortunate enough to get the option of pursuing a dual degree. We could get an MBA while we were at our center. So some of us chose to do it.
Okay.
We went to Claremont Graduate University and got ourselves an MBA, which was also an amazing, amazing
You got
experience.
an MBA too. You got an MBA too.
Hmm?
You also got an MBA.
Yes.
So you have MBA and you have MS in industrial design, and you
Mm-hmm.
have bachelor's in design from CEPT University.
I have enough degrees to last me for a while.
Okay. So, how was industrial design? What all did you learn?
Oh my God. So the first year at Art Center was extremely skills heavy. It was really skills heavy. You
Okay.
had to. There was a basic design course just like it said, but it was eye opening because we learned at SEP we understood the dot line and plane, but here we actually understood primary forms. Three dimensionality. We understood the sphere, the cone, the square. We at and every grad ID student is going to probably talk about this. You're made to draw cubes. Okay, that's your first exercise, and it's a bunch of designers and non-designers typically in a grad ID cohort,
Yeah.
and all the designers get sort of cocky and they're like, okay, a cube, how hard could that be? I've been drawing all my life, and then you realize how wrong you were,
Oh,
you
okay.
know,
Okay.
and it's sort of very humbling. It's like, okay, I shouldn't be taking my basics for granted.
Yeah.
And from then on, you start to build your vocabulary, your formal vocabulary. You don't just understand form, but you understand materials because we are made to then render matte surfaces, shiny, glossy, reflective, and that just completely changes how you understand finishes. And I feel like that is something that we should be doing in interior design
Okay.
because it doesn't help to just talk about a bunch of chemicals and materials and brand names. You really need to understand how light is going to bounce off of a material or reflect. And you know that probably
I
better than
totally
I
agree.
do
I
since
totally agree. I totally agree. Yeah.
you're an entertainment designer. You probably understand lighting way, way better than I do now.
Totally agree with that.
And you have sort of by proxy you have an art center.
Yes, that's why I was so much interested when
Uh,
and I was really excited that you got into art center. I could tell my friends that hey, my batchmate is right now in art center, studying in art center, and now I tell my friends also that hey, I have a friend who just graduated from art center, and when I because okay, so I studied here in FZD, Fengzhou Design, and I studied digital art. He is from art center. He studied in art
yeah.
center, and
And
he
when I see
taught.
your matte paintings, they're exactly the kind of stuff that I've seen in all my grad shows
Yeah.
and in different design.
So he also taught in art center. He studied and taught, and he
Hmm.
um, he kept telling us stories and stories about art center. How his batchmates were like really crazy designers, and it is very similar to how CEPT culture also is. Like you live and breathe, you live in the university,
That's
and
true.
they are really passionate people uh, who just constantly keep working, hard working and stuff.
And
And
that's really true of the undergrad programs for
yeah,
sure.
and also he studied industrial design as well, but
Uh-huh.
he studied I think more on the entertainment design. Uh,
He probably did entertainment design then.
sorry,
He probably did entertainment design.
I think no. During his time, entertainment design did not exist. It was just industrial design. But the
Hmm.
skill sets that he learned in industrial
Hmm.
design from Art Center,
Hmm.
that made him skilled enough to do movies, to do video
Hmm.
games. And then as he was doing more of these projects, he worked on Star Wars, Transformers, and all these movies. And
Hmm.
uh, I think later on he was offered to come and teach in Art Center in this new course called Entertainment Design. So
Uh-huh.
I think they broke down industrial design into two or three. I think one was one was entertainment design. Maybe one was design research or something. I don't know. But
Hmm.
he taught entertainment design for undergrad,
Hmm.
and yeah. So he kept on telling us about his friends and their work and everything. So um, also ILM, Industrial Light and Magic.
Mhm.
They hire a lot of concept artists, designers from Art Center
Mm.
because of this particular course, entertainment design.
Mm. Mm.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
I mean,
so yeah,
Sid Mead. Sid Mead is
yeah, Sydney.
the
Yeah, man, he's like the
the
father of
master.
he's like the father
He's
of entertainment
God.
design.
Yeah.
Did you meet him?
Unfortunately, no. He spoke once while I was there, but I think I had class or something. I wasn't able to attend. But
Oh,
he's a legend
you've
at
seen
Art
his work,
Center.
right? You've seen his work.
Oh yeah, his work is just really good. Do you want to take a break? Do you want me to move? I can move inside.
Oh, because the sound.
Yeah, just a second. Yeah, it's no problem. I can move. We can. I should have we didn't plan on this. We just started.
I'm trying to be kind of quiet.
No, it's totally cool. Hold on. Is is this going to be very disruptive to your
No,
video?
no,
The
no,
change
no.
of scene.
Oh no, no, no. It's
Okay.
okay. It's okay. It's okay. But
Okay.
yeah, we
Let me
can.
check my. Okay.
Huh. Yeah, we can go back to your website. So what were we talking about? We were talking about Art Center, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So Art Center में industrial design, all these projects that I see right now on your screen, what are they? Are they part of your assignments that you did in Art Center, or?
Yes, most of them are part of my assignments that I did. So it's a mix of design strategy, design research, and furniture design
Oh, okay.
and branding as well. So there's one branding project, a couple of there's components of design research and then business design, user interface. This is a purely design research project,
Okay, so
and then this is a furniture project, and this is our Formula E car racing project.
so you've got a variety of stuff. You wanna?
Yeah,
I'm curious to know
of
about.
course. I think
I'm
that's
curious.
the best part of that
Of,
idea. I mean, the skill sets that you leave with are it's just it's an amazing collection of skills that you can then start to further develop.
okay.
We've been introduced to just about everything, and then you can totally get deeper into
Into.
user interface if you like.
All right.
But what's the best part is again the way you think more than anything. It's you develop an understanding for the human need, which I think is central to design to business to just about anything. You can have a viable technology, you can have the money to fund it, but what are you solving for?
After all,
That's
it comes down to basic human needs and stuff.
that's the primary difference between designers and artists.
Right. What
So
is this?
you really understand that aspect. What are you solving for?
So in these 2 years of industrial design, you went through material studies. You did work with materials as well, no? I saw a few.
We did. We yes, we worked with. We did a lot of clay modeling. Then it's the same clay that transportation designers use to
Oh, for the cars and stuff.
their cars. So we understood, shape and form. We did a lot of we used a lot of foam to model stuff. We learned 3D printing. Computer skills. we learned we did, there was a woodwork shop. We understood. Like I'd never seen a table saw in my life before I came to art center.
Hadn't seen what?
So a table saw
A
in
table
my
saw.
life.
Okay. Okay.
You learn machining, milling. You know, there's if you have the passion for it, art center has the tools to for you
Okay.
to do these things.
Okay.
It's a really well equipped school.
I'm very curious to know what Tiffin Wala is all about.
Okay, yeah, Tiffin was one of my favorite projects. So uh, our brief for this project was to create. Yeah, it was really as simple as that. Create a viable business solution for a low carbon future, because we all know that, or at least some of us know, that global warming is a real thing,
Yeah.
and we will need to, going forward, anything that we do, any business that we undertake will have to be carbon conscious, and that was basically the brief for this. So we did a lot of early work around generating. We did a steep, we call this a steep analysis. We looked at environmental trends, social, economic, political trends, and we tried to figure out what what the future could look like. What are the plausible different scenarios of the future, and that is how we came up with like a bunch of different ideas. And for me, what stood out was just this huge amount of waste that plastic, food packaging creates in America. So America is a really really heavy consumer of packaged food.
Yeah. That's
Let me just get you the slide that I'm talking about. Why it makes sense. Yeah. Okay, never mind. I'll probably have to see where that slide is. Anyway, yeah, America is a huge consumer of packaged food, and a huge amount of the footprint is due to that packaged food, and that's what made me think of this beautiful system that we have in India. The Tiffin Walas, they are legendary. They are so famous that Harvard did a case study on them.
Yeah.
And what they they conserve by two ways. First of all, you're using reusable steel tiffins, so you're completely eliminating packaging waste, and you're giving people the kind of food they like to eat. It's usually home cooked. It's a home cooked meal, or they're ordering from a restaurant they like. So you are in that sense eliminating food waste also, right? Because people are less likely to throw away the food that they like to
Oh,
eat.
yeah. True. That's true.
And
Yeah.
then I started to talk to all of my other Indian friends who are here, especially in San Francisco, in the in Silicon Valley, and in the tech industry. And they all love what they do. They're really happy in America, but they still crave a good home cooked Indian meal.
Yeah.
That never goes away. Our desire for good food. I think food is so central to, and it's true of a lot of cultures. The authentic home cooked experience is so different from a restaurant experience.
That's true.
Um,
Yeah.
and that's what gave me this idea of looking to translate the Dabbawala system into a more regulated American system. And that's what this whole project is about. So I showed the business case for it. There's like 2 million and rising Indian expats in America. They love what they do, but they still crave a home cooked meal.
Okay.
So yeah, it's it can be a really it's a really really simplified frictionless user experience where you download the app. you curate your culinary profile to you can
Wow.
do it to the nth degree. You can tell them what vegetables you like, what spice levels you like, salt levels, etc., etc.
Okay.
So over time, it learns your tastes and it gives you exactly the kind of food, or at least we can try to give you exactly the kind of food you would appreciate.
Yeah.
And initially, we would probably have Silicon Valley students peddling our food from one place to another. But as technology evolves and uh, automated vehicles become a reality, which is sort of already happening now. We can
Right.
have these
So cute.
bots deliver
Yeah.
different to you.
Yeah.
Either outside or even probably in the breakout area of your office. So it's a really really simple frictionless system, and the way the backend works is you absorb the expatriate community who are passionate cooks and we train them. We get executive chefs to train them and certify them to maintain regulatory standards, and that's how we form a chain, like a continuous cycle of employment. And
Wow.
the ones who are trained can then get to train the next generation of chefs, and they get to do more satisfying work too because some of them are probably tired of just being line cooks in a
Line cooks.
restaurant, and here
Yeah.
they get to cook smaller batches of better food for people who appreciate it.
Hmm. All right. So your idea was to send food in the tiffin to whoever has registered on this app, and they would the food would be coming from regular commercial restaurants, and the
No,
chefs.
we would cook the food. I mean, yes, it's not a regular commercial restaurant. It is a commercial setup because it's commercially regulated. But we would strive to make smaller batches of food that have the home cook experience, not the restaurant experience.
Nice. What was the response to this particular project from your
The
GUs?
response was really it was positive. They understood the need, they saw the business case for it. Of course, I would if I were to test it in the field, I'd have to do a lot more. I'd have to do a gap analysis and look at pricing strategies and do a more rigorous uh, build a more rigorous business case for it, but it definitely seems like a viable solution.
I really like the products that you've designed for this. The carrier, the cycle carrier, and then the automated vehicle
Or
as well.
vehicle.
Was
Yeah,
pretty
it's too
nice.
cute.
Yeah, it's got that very
Yeah,
homely sort of a touch as well. The visual
yeah,
language of it is very nice.
yeah.
Who did the illustrations?
So thanks to you, it was your friend Ben.
Ben
That's
did
where
some
it
really
was
awesome
from the
work. I
time.
really love these
He
illustrations.
was amazing to work with. I've worked with him not just on this. I was so happy with his work for this project. I even asked him to help me with my thesis, and he both the times he was just amazing. He delivered on time, and I obviously
Oh,
gave him very
perfect.
unrealistic deadlines because I was a student myself. And both the times he did not disappoint.
Wow.
Yeah, he was a joy to work with. So I would endorse him any day.
DJ, what if this cycle guy? What if the tiffin falls?
Is that the kind of question? Yeah, it's secure too.
It's
There's a
secure.
there's a little base plate on the cycle, and then there's a male and female. There's a female on
Okay.
the there's a
Oh,
depressed
all
vertical
right, got it, got it. Okay.
that latches on.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it's definitely nothing that you can't solve for.
How many tiffin boxes can you fit in that particular box?
I haven't really. It's a good question. I would definitely look into it if I were to flesh this out further.
But okay, so when you do this project, do you also have to give them figures? Like, Because I see
Yeah,
you did some calculations
we
when
do
you.
give
Okay.
we do give them figures. Yes, and of course the figures are like fabulous. They're like, whoa, I'm gonna make $700 million. But that's what I mean when I say that I would I would look at I did do a balance sheet and everything, and income statement as well.
Right.
Um,
Okay.
but would definitely, and I think by and large this sort of gives a pretty good picture of what might happen. But I would definitely look into this in more detail if I were to take this project further.
So this that I'm seeing right now, these calculation, this sheet, this happened. I mean, you got to know about all this because of your MBA that you were studying parallel.
It was definitely through the MBA, and we do have an entrepreneurship course at Grad ID too. We have an angel investor who teaches students entrepreneurship, and she was a huge resource in being able to understand this.
All right. All right.
Yeah.
Cool. Tiffinwala. Nice.
Yeah.
Take us through some other another project of yours.
Okay, so let me take you through Thea, because that's basically what landed my next gig for me, which is design and strategy at Johnson and Johnson.
Okay. Okay.
So this was a sponsored
Thea.
project that we did for them,
How do you pronounce it? Thea.
and Thea, yeah, Thea. We called it Thea because we were a team of girls. We were the only like all woman team. Yeah, so, um, and this J&J is a care company. It's a healing. Its primary job is healing, and
Right.
Thea means goddess of healing, and
Oh, all right.
Thea is the Greek goddess of healing.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so it seemed like just the perfect name for us. Sounds
Okay.
pretty good.
Yeah. Sounds pretty good. This care company tasked us with reimagining the future and its role in it.
So
Okay.
it was a really open-ended problem. Every big company knows that they have to stay on top of things. They have to be relevant, and that's basically what J&J wanted to look at. What's going on, what are the trends pointing towards, what are the new products and services that are going to be in demand in the future,
That's
and
okay.
that's similar process. We did a bunch of research around what J&J is today, what it means today to people, how it stands. What does it look like in the market, in the big box stores? What people think of when they hear Johnson and Johnson.
All right.
And we came up with a bunch of key insights. It's that there in the big box stores there are lots of dupes like the CVS and Walmart, and they really mimic the packaging to a level where you can almost not tell the difference between a corporate product and one of their in-house brands.
Okay.
Um, and people don't know the number of brands or the kind of brands that are under the J&J umbrella. They think it's primarily a baby brand. It's for baby products, or they think it's this big corporation with shareholder interests, and they don't know the credo that is so close to its heart. Um, and then we also looked at what's going on in the future. What kind of stuff is going to especially in the health and wellness sector, because that's what J&J does. And we actually discovered some really amazing insights. Stuff like beauty norms are broadening, and we are increasingly becoming free from labels in a way. We're not bodies are now available in more shapes and sizes. Caitlyn Jenner is like a new role model for a new segment of people. It's not a new segment, but at least it's coming into mainstream consciousness.
Okay.
Um, there's going to be a lack of parenting know-how in China because of the disparity in their populations. technology on the technology side, AR, MR, VR are going to mature and create just a whole new range of possibilities. Health wise, big data, microbiomes, they're going to personalize healthcare in a way that we didn't think we hadn't imagined. And on the ecology, in the ecology sphere, we know that we are under a resource crunch. The population is going to increase. We're going to have to feed all of these people. There are going to be new ways of nutrition because that's already happening. Vertical farming is already, quite mainstream, and there are a lot of companies doing some game changing stuff. So we looked at all of these different things, and we came up with like four major themes to the future, if you may. We said, okay, in the future, everyone is unique, everyone's beautiful. We are going to be free from labels. Everybody is going to have something that makes them stand. It's going to be more we're going to be driving confidence rather than shame. There's not going to be any body shaming or color shaming. Knowledge is power because, like we said, there's going to be a lack of parenting know-how. So knowledge and big data are going to become more and more and more important. Robots are going to take over to such an extent that the human touch is going to become even more important or more coveted, more precious in a way. And of course, like everything will have to be eco-friendly by default. You're going to have to be. That sort of seems like it's going the other way around, but I still think companies at least are becoming more and more conscious of their carbon footprint, and that's not going to change. And with all of this, we came up with like a bunch of different scenarios and different personas, and we imagined the kind of products in the future, the kind of products and services that they might use. What would a teenager of the future in America want and need? What would this narcissistic real estate agent want? What might a YouTube celebrity want? Or what my parents in China want?
Okay.
In the future, if we are saying that parenting know-how is going to be a challenge for them, how can J&J solve that? And we thought that this was a promising scenario of all, and we fleshed it out. Like we created a bunch of products for them, an ecosystem of products, and we actually built a scenario to show how these products are going to be used.
Wow. Can we have a look at this?
Of course, yeah. Do you want to see the video?
Yeah, let's see the video.
Okay, cool. Okay, so this is basically showing how all of our products are going to be used in the future. And just to give you a little background, we think cell phones are going to be passé, by 2030. You're just going to have like contact lenses, smart contact lenses that become your augmented reality window to the world, where everything is just like layers of information. So that's basically the context.
Did you hire this family?
We hired the family. We got really lucky to find a family of like a Chinese family of actors because that's exactly what we were looking for. And we wanted to shoot with the baby was central to our story, and shooting with minors is very challenging.
Okay.
Especially if it's like somebody else's baby, like if the parents are not acting. And we were just lucky that we found these people, and obviously the baby's going to be more comfortable with his own parents. Yeah. So it turned out beautifully. We hired a film like we hired a graduate from the arts and film program to direct, Joe, and he was great. He was fabulous. He completely understood what we were going for, and he did a really good job of directing the shoot.
Okay, let's see the video. Pause it. Yeah, it's buffering a
Oh,
lot. It's lagging.
that's it.
Yeah, I think I'll send.
Oh,
I'll
really?
put in the link down below
Yeah.
after the
Okay, I just
video gets
on the
launched.
link. Yeah. Yeah, so this was another like really amazing project that I worked on. Again, obviously, if I would do it over, I would do it over. I would do it differently, but it was still a pretty, I think it came out quite nice for the duration that we had on it.
Yeah.
And so, like, we designed the products, and we sort of prototyped them. Like the thermo spoon and the smart packaging for Tylenol. Um, and we even did the packaging for it. So I
Okay.
thought the packaging came out quite nice as well. So it was like a complete system, which was exciting. We did from doing all of the research, the trend research, the scenario building, the personas, the products, service, and the packaging. So it was really a complete system in that sense, which was a lot of fun to do.
Yeah, looks pretty impressive, man. It almost looks like a actual product available. But wait, what does this product do again?
Which one? Which
This product
product?
that I'm looking at right now.
The Tylenol packaging.
Yes.
So this is we envision the smart packaging in the future, where so the biggest concern for most medications is that it has to be child safe and senior friendly.
Okay.
The seniors should be able to open it easily without an issue, and children should not be able to open it or access it because it's medication. So we thought of this just a of a touch ID. It would just have a touch ID, and it would just like by sheer size it would recognize that it's an adult fingerprint,
Okay. Yeah. True.
and it would open. So even if it fell into the hands of a child, it wouldn't be a problem because the child would not be able to the child's fingerprint would not be identified and would not allow the bottle to be opened.
So wait, so there are medicines inside the box.
Yeah, so Tylenol is as its painkiller, acetaminophen.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's regular. It's a painkiller bottle.
Oh, okay. Interesting. I like the logo and the name there.
The logo is theirs, um, but yeah, this is ours. This is is our brand name,
Interesting.
and
Super
of course,
interesting.
it is not affiliate. It's not endorsed by them. This is a student project.
So, but this project is what got you into Johnson Johnson's, where you're working
This
right
pro-
now.
yeah, because it gave me an introduction to what the company does, and I was just like I was mind blown by Art Center 2 years ago. I was mind blown by what J&J does as well because the kind of stuff it does directly impacts so many people. They are constantly. I think any health and wellness corporate is directly impacting so many human lives, and just that thought itself becomes really exciting. That whatever you will do is going to,
It's gonna impact human lives, and it's gonna make
but yeah, make
gonna help.
somebody's life better
Yeah.
by what you did, and that's basically been my deal with design. I think design can and should be used to make a difference to people's life, and especially I think it has a need in the developing world. And I think the problems that we have in our countries are they're more dire, they're more basic, and they need to be solved. And design can play a huge role in solving them.
Yeah. It's really interesting the way you've done the whole packaging and stuff, man. From the initial research to the end product with the video. You hired a Chinese family to do all this, and that's amazing.
Yeah, yeah. This was a really we got lucky that it came through, and like finding the Chinese family, and that was that
Yeah.
was just amazing. It just brought the story to life the way we imagined it.
And what did Johnson when you showed this, because the clients, the projects that you have, they deal with actual companies that exist today. So so basically they are your clients. So do you have to present this to them at the end of this?
Yes, they actually yes, the chief design officer and the senior graphic designer who's also an art center alum.
Yeah.
They came down twice to they came down. I want to twice. They came down to kick the project off, and then we Skype. We had the midterm was a Skype with the senior graphic designer
Okay.
and whom I work with now. He is my colleague,
Wow.
and um, they came the chief design officer and my colleague came down again for the final presentation. So we did present to them.
What did they say? What did they say about this project?
They were really happy with what they saw. They it's and this is the kind of stuff they are involved in, and some of the themes that we discussed also were guided by them. They helped us understand what's important,
Right.
and they thought that this was a really good culmination of what they've been discussing.
Okay. Wow. Super interesting.
Yeah.
Let's take one more project and then we can uh, close the podcast.
All right.
Let's do one more
So
project.
all right. So let's do. So what shall we do? I actually want to show you other. Go ahead.
So we looked at Tiffinwala, which is more of a
Service design.
service
Right.
design. Okay. Thea is what? What would you
Is I would say it is a future
Okay.
forecasting
Okay.
project. It's a forecasting scenario. It's an envisioning project.
Envisioning. Okay. So what are you gonna show us next?
Okay. I could show you either furniture design project, or I could show. Actually, let me show you the branding project that I
Okay.
did.
Okay.
So this was a pure branding project, which was also just amazing because there's so much that I learned about typography and you know color and form and logo types and logo lock. Like I did not know all of these technical terms before I'd done this.
Right.
And again, here the challenge was it wasn't just simply brand something. It was let's brand the I. So the I-5 is this interstate highway in California that basically runs north to south. It's a major artery, and there's all of these rest stops along it, and they are managed by Caltrans, California Transit Authority, and they're definitely in need of an update. The branding's kind of outdated, and the rest stops themselves are kind of outdated.
Okay.
And for anybody who's traveling, the rest stop becomes such a huge opportunity for engagement and information. It could serve as a marker for the place. It could give you an insight into the place you are at, its its culture, its geography. And when we were doing this project, California was going through one of its worst droughts, which just recently ended. It was in a drought all the while that I was in California.
So this water,
So
this lake that I see was dry.
this lake that you see was this.
Yeah, was it dry? Oh,
This is what happened to it.
oh, Okay. Then.
Yeah, so this is the place that the Vista del Lago is the place that I chose, and this is basically what happened to it. So that is how severe the drought was. Um, and I thought that this is an amazing opportunity to inform people of water conservation and the drought. And the restaurant that I picked already was doing something around it. It was already like educating people around water conservation, but it could definitely use an update.
Yeah.
And it could definitely become more engaging than it currently is. So that was a challenge really, and I called it the watering hole because it's where people the watering hole traditionally or by definition is a place where all the animals gather to to get a drink of water, to relax, to it's this respite, it's this pause in your journey.
Yeah.
So I thought it was a very fitting name.
Yeah.
And the logo literally was a location marker and a drop of water.
And
That's
you just
really
inverted it.
Yeah. So it was a really simple solution. I thought it was
DJ.
it was a very fitting solution
Okay.
to the logo.
Yeah.
And we obviously we wanted to create a lot of collaterals to bring this project to life. So I did these brochures. So the lake that forms the cent, the major the heart of this location. It's called Pyramid Lake, and there are a bunch of activities that happen around the lake itself. It's like fishing and camping, kayaking, all of these water related activities and hiking. Um, and I created like this really simple. Going with the conservation theme. I thought that they would all be printed on this like craft recycled paper.
Oh, all right.
So I chose colors that would contrast nicely with this, like this prime with this blue and this bold red that would like contrast very beautifully with this craft paper. And it would have all of the information that you would need. And I created like this library of little icons.
Sweet.
That would it would become the vocabulary for this whole branding project. Which was a lot of fun to do. It was a little tedious, but I really enjoyed it. It
looks fun. Yeah.
Um,
I really like
and
the colors, the blue, the red, and the background, the brown.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
And then I did this. Obviously, when you're packing, you want to be prepared for your journey, especially when you're going on a long trip. And so I created this infographic or informational poster to sort of summarize all the stuff that you should have. So uh, maybe you see it on the website of the rest stop itself, or at least you're better prepared. You can buy supplies there if you feel like you're missing out on something, or you'll just be better prepared for your next trip once you have this information. So yeah, this like very very clearly showed all of the information that you would need, and all of the icons would just visually help people, give them a snapshot of the information that they need to be aware of.
Okay.
And I also did some packaging for the stuff that would be available in the vending machines.
Oh.
So in going with this like water theme, everything was like this very cute icon based stuff.
Yeah.
And there was like a little bit of humor, like this guy's chasing the fish, and this guy's sort of missing out on his, the boat sort of left him hanging. So it's just a little fun whimsical thing, so that people have another layer of information or just another layer of things to look at when they buy the packaging. And it's reusable bottle. It's all of these are like reusable canisters, so it's all recyclable. Um, yeah, and then this was my restroom signage. Again to make it like fun and light-hearted. Use the color. So yeah, that's this. That was watering hole.
Watering hole. So this would be on every rest stop.
This would be on every rest stop that is on the I-5.
From the I-5.
Yeah. So this would almost become like the flagship rest stop, if you may, of this branding strategy. Like the Vista del Lago rest stop would be like the flagship, and then all of the others would have a variation of this theme.
Of this particular thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. I really love the logo. I really love the icons and the brochure and even the water bottle, the stickers. Beautiful stuff. How long did you take for this project? How long do you guys get?
So these are all done. So it is Art Center is rigorous. It is really really rigorous, and we did so this we did in our second each. We have a trimester system.
Okay.
So each term is 14 weeks, but we're usually doing no less than like 5 subjects, including like studios and time. So it's Art Center takes over your life. So you basically have classes from 8 to 6 every day, at least in the grad programs, and then you are working for the next day's homework.
Shit. Okay.
So yeah, it's a really really they like to keep you busy.
So how long did you take this one?
This was I want to say this was 14 weeks, but I think it was probably shorter because we probably did 2 things.
Okay.
So it was I think it was 7 weeks.
Okay. Did you also visit are those photographs your own?
No, they are not my photographs. I actually need to credit them.
Okay.
They're not my photographs. No, I wasn't. So the I-5, this particular rest stop was much further away from where we are, Selena. So unfortunately, I couldn't find the time to visit, but I would love to.
Okay. Yeah, 'cause I was wondering that the Tiffinwala project had these illustrations, which was pretty cool, done by an artist, illustrator whom you hired. But they could have also been your own. Instead of using photos, you sort of modified them and made them look like illustrations. So you escape the trouble of crediting or being copyrighted.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like you don't have to look for copyright. Don't have to look for copyright common images. You can, with illustrations, you can create whatever scenario you really want. Because your story needs these scenarios that don't really exist. So there are many different ways you can do that. I think illustration is just this nice whimsical way that it really resonates to me. Sometimes it also depends on the subject. Sometimes it can become a little too animated or a little too cartoonish for something that is more serious.
Yeah, okay.
So you have to look at the fit.
Yeah,
to the subject also. The style has to fit the subject.
But DJ, for this particular project, Watering Hole, you said rest stops. So weren't you didn't you so there was no, didn't you have to design like a rest stop where people would come and experience all these things?
This was a branding project, so of course something spatial would have been appreciated, but that was not the ask. The ask was a branding strategy.
The branding would also require where would this be in that location, isn't it?
Yeah. So we did create. I haven't put them up on the web page, but we did create like a mood board. We did show that this is the kind of rest stop that we envision where this branding would take place. So there was definitely like a color palette, materials palette.
All right. Yay, man. So okay. So what all did we talk about? We started from your um, uh, museum, Royal Opera House Museum,
Yes.
or did we start before that? What all projects did we cover? Royal Music Lounge, uh, Tiffinwala, and this watering hole. Right?
Yeah.
Wow, cool, man. You've done a lot of stuff. So, and you've done graphic design, you've done product design, you've done architecture, you've done interiors, and you have, yeah. So basically everything
Yeah.
that covers comes into
Yeah.
design.
And now the kind of work I do is heavily user research, user experience,
UX, is it?
UX. Yeah.
So you are an UX designer in Johnson and Johnson's currently.
Yeah, I like to just say design strategy because that's a broader umbrella. Because I
Okay.
don't want to straight jacket myself into just
So you're a
one
design
thing.
strategist in Johnson and Johnson's
Yes.
in New York.
Currently, yes.
Looking awesome. And you won some award also recently.
Yeah, my friend and I, that was super exciting. It was so much fun.
What was that about?
We
Let's
had
talk about that
it was the
quickly.
we entered the NBC Universal Social Hack,
Okay.
which was awesome because again, you're designing to help people or whatever you're doing is going to help people directly. So there were a couple of different challenges. The one that we chose was for this nonprofit called Move for Hunger.
More for hunger.
And Move for
Move
Hunger.
for
And
hunger.
they are amazing people who realize that when people move, they throw away a lot of food. And that food could actually go to a food bank.
Oh.
So they are a moving company themselves, and they have partnered with other moving companies in America, and they basically, like, if you book your moving service through their network, they will collect the non-perishable food. Non-perishable is mostly canned food or boxed food that has a longer expiration date. Um, they will collect that and they will deliver it to food banks. And they also help people organize food drives. So, in a typical food drive, people come to give non-perishables, and then that all of that collection goes to a food bank. So they wanted help with simplifying the food drive organization process,
Alright.
and they wanted to create more awareness about what they do. This noble mission of theirs. So my friend and I, we designed and developed an app that makes the food drive organization process really as easy as 1, 2, 3. It's a stepwise process, and we suggested some partnerships and some strategies to help build more awareness about the activity. And we won the grand prize for it, which was very exciting.
Whoa. When was this competition? Like, since when were you working on this?
This was just like 2 weeks ago.
Acha.
Yeah, in New York. And New York is amazing that way. There's just so much happening. It's hard to keep up.
Did this app? So was it a working app? Did you guys have to?
It was a working app. My friend, he's a developer.
Okay.
With some, he has some really solid coding skills.
Okay.
And yeah, so we conceptualized the app together and the interface together, and we coded it.
Okay. Interesting. Can we have a look at it now?
Sure, it's on my phone.
Okay. What is the name
So,
of the app?
we call it Benefeed. So it was a play on like benefit and food.
Nice.
So yeah, it's designed for the 6, but okay, so this is what it looks like. We did the logo and branding as well. So it's really as I don't know if you can see it. Can you see it?
No, we cannot see it. No, I cannot see it.
Okay.
Is it possible to make your screen bigger? Like your
And I can stop sharing my screen or
or
stop sharing screen. There you go.
or it's
I don't
okay.
know. Can
Or
you see it now?
yeah, I can see it a bit. See a bit.
Okay. Alright.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's really
Quite blurry.
simple. You can if you click on organize a food drive, it helps you. You can connect with Facebook, so you can invite more people. You pick a name for the food drive. You tell them your purpose. It tells you how many people you can feed with how many pounds of food. So it gives you a sort of a goal or a sense of how much food you need to collect. It gives you a goal, a purpose, basically.
Okay.
Uh, and then it helps you choose a location. It shows you all the park locations that Move for Hunger has. So it becomes, you don't have to deal with the hassle of looking for a location and then convincing them to help let you conduct a food drive there.
Okay.
Okay, and let's say you select something. It even tells you the food, all the food banks that are in your vicinity and what
Alright.
they need. So maybe you can just like curate your goals to meet their needs. So it's really like connecting supply with demand.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so it tells you,
Understood.
okay, they're low on canned beans or on pasta or they need 370 meals. So it tells you the kind of stuff that a food bank needs, and you could possibly just partner with them. They will Move for Hunger connects you with a mover anyway. So once you're done, Move for Hunger gets a notification. Once they connected you with a mover, you get a notification from them. And that's it. You have a checklist to make sure that you've covered all the bases. And then you have this feed function that lets you post all the pictures of the food drive. It lets Move for Hunger talk to you as the organizer. So there's that function there.
Okay.
The profile shows you once you've done the food drive, it shows you collected and if you met your goal or not. And it sort of keeps a tally of all the food drives that you've done, which sort of gives you, like a feel good factor of all the stuff that you've been doing with Move for Hunger. That's it. It's as simple as that.
Nice. Congratulations for this.
Thank you.
And it was just two of you? You and your friend?
Yeah.
Yay. So, okay. Can you bring the screen back to the...
Oh, bring the screen back. Okay. Hold on. Share screen. Yeah.
Okay. I think it's paused. Is it paused? No, it's not. Alright, great DJ.
It was awesome talking to you, Kushal. It was such a trip down memory lane.
No, but I'm just amazed of the stuff that you've been doing, and it's not just what do you call? Like I think from your final year project, your Royal Opera House Museum, the stuff that you discovered over there about your own design thinking, and then your thesis, of course, to study secondary schools and discovering or learning what a school environment affects on a child's behavior or child's growth, to what you're doing now, from looking at Watering Hole, Tiffinwala, Thea, and this award that you just won. Man, you've done quite a bit, and definitely are working towards bettering humanity and how...
As I can, yeah.
Yeah, and you're working
In
with
my
Johnson's and Johnson's, which It's probably one of the best companies in the world, right? For um,
It is, and yeah, it's in the top 15 in a lot of lists.
yeah, man, claps to you, DJ.
Thank
Beautiful,
you.
beautiful journey, man. You from where? From from Coorg. Actually, not from Coorg. Let's start from CEPT. From CEPT University to Art Center, and now to Johnson and Johnson's. Looking at these projects that I saw right now, working with you in CEPT University, the way your projects came about, your thought process. You have a very consistent. I can definitely see consistency from your CEPT time until now, and I think it just keeps growing, isn't it? I
Yeah,
wonder
it
what.
does. It does. I don't think that you can ever stop.
Yeah,
It is not going. The one thing that my chair talks about at our center is this, and a lot of people talk about, is this idea of lifelong learning. And it literally means lifelong learning. You can never stop. So
yeah,
there's all, and things are changing at such a rapid pace that you have to, even if your intent is the same, the way you make that intent come about is changing so rapidly, right? And you know that you are in a field that is also very technically advanced.
yeah. But then projects like these, like Thea and what the app that you just told me about, the food drive and watering hole, these projects somehow makes me feel like, okay, man, no need to hurry so much. Chill down, calm down, stay here, look at the things around you, and probably make the best out of it. Um, yeah, you've got a very nice pace going on in your work right now. It's pretty cool to see.
Thank you. Yeah, that's true. Like there are so many problems to be solved around you itself. You don't have to go very far, I think, to solve problems.
Yeah.
For sure.
Cool. So let's end this podcast right now, and you send me the photograph and of your project, the ceiling one, the model.
Hmm.
I'll
Yeah.
probably try to put it here, and
I hope
also the app that you just send me the link if
Yeah,
I can.
yeah, I will.
Is it on Google Store, Play Store, or
It's
iOS?
it's not as yet. I'll have to look at what the obviously we signed a waiver before we did this, so
Acha.
I'll have to look at what the terms and conditions are around sharing.
Okay. How long has it been? Has it been like 45 minutes or 1 hour or more? I can't remember.
It's been an hour at least.
It's been an hour.
It's been an hour probably.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, you'll have to really edit this down.
Oh shit, it's been 2 hours, DJ. 2 hours.
You'll have to really edit this down.
2 hours,
Nobody's
1 minute.
gonna watch the 2 hour video.
Yeah, but that's the thing about podcasts. No, they would just listen to it while they're working or doing something. I just hope if this thing keeps consistent, I'll get a proper mic and stuff.
Yeah.
Proper equipment.
Yeah. I think it was a good test run with you. You'll probably get a better handle on things once you keep doing, like when you keep doing this, right? You'll get a system going.
Yeah, I mean these sort of things, they just evolve. No, you get suggestions.
Yeah.
You see mistakes by yourself, and then you try to solve it and this and that. As long as we are doing something for the better and something that we like, it's okay.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, cool. Let's wrap it up, and all the best for the future, DJ. I think you're gonna go back to
Okay.
Muscat. You're gonna go back to Muscat or not? I don't know. But all the very 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 best, and
Thank you.
I'll see you soon. I'll probably come visit someday over there. If
Yeah,
you're there.
come. I'll probably come to Singapore too. I don't
Oh,
know
yeah.
what's on the card next, but we'll see.
Yeah. All right. Cool.
Okay,
Chal.
awesome.
Bye.
See ya.
See you.
Bye.
See you on YouTube. Bye.
See ya.
Bye. Bye bye.
Bye.